All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multiverse Show, Season 5, Episode 22, or technically Episode 3 of the summer series, as if things normally tend to be kind of weird over the summer, and we kind of only hold a show if there's stuff really actually worthwhile to talk about. So this time, we're going to have this show going through, and it's going to be fun. We have our core panel on tonight. First off, we have the Caesar of Cinema himself, the Baron of Britain, Mr. James Wilson.
I'm actually here this time. I'm not cowering in the face of overwhelming tiredness or emotional depletion from losing in the final to Italy on penalties. No, I'm crying again. Hey guys, lovely to be back.
All right, and we also have the the White Wolf himself, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey, it is good to be here with both of my bros. Yeah, let's get this show on the road. We actually have stuff to talk about.
All right, so let's go ahead and get things started. But first off, the question we ask every single week we have a show. What have you guys been playing? I'm going to kick it off this time because I've been kind of all over the place in terms of what I've been playing. Doing my regular stuff like Rainbow Six Siege, playing Cluster Truck over the last few days, just kind of as a cool down game kind of thing. Also got into Chivalry 2 thanks to Multiverse alum Mr. Undead 3XVI, aka Nicholas Downey. I know Sam, you and I played over the weekend as well. A lot of fun. I'm gonna wait for you to talk about it because I know you got some things to say about it too. But yeah, what you been playing, James? Anything?
Yeah, I've been playing the new F1 2021.
Nice,
it's fabulous. It's great. I mean, last year's game was really good fun. I spoke about it at length. It was the game I played most last year, at least according to playtime on my PlayStation, which is pretty accurate if you're going to have a metric. The new version has a story mode, like an actual official story mode that you can play through. And so far, it is exactly as pulpy and as ridiculous as I'd want it to be. So I'm having a whale of a time with that. Also, a special mention, I'm playing through Final Fantasy X again, because I love that game so much. And I didn't realize this, but today, literally today, is the 20th anniversary of that game. And I was thinking about it. And I owe just about everything I love about video gaming to that game. It was the first game that wasn't like a movie tie-in that I really played for like a long period of time. And also that it was the main thing for him as Anakin. Thinking about it, there's no other piece of music in my life that I've ever like actively decided to listen to more than that, because I started listening to it when I was 5, really, and it's still something that I regularly play. So I owe so much to the legacy of that game, and I'm really happy just to be playing it again with, like, I feel like the characters are my friends. So yeah, Final Fantasy X, it's a banger.
Nice. All right, what about you, Sam? What you been playing, sir?
Yeah, so I actually was watching a lot of stuff over the weekend, so I haven't played as much as I usually do. But like you said, I did get some time in with Chivalry 2, thanks to our friend Nick, aka Undead 3XVI. Or actually, he's pretty much dropped that branding now. So Nick, I'll say Nick. Yeah, I gotta correct myself. On air. That's how it goes. He's a micro influencer when it comes to this game. He's like sold it on how many people now? 8, 9, something like that. It's getting a little ridiculous. I need to ask him for an updated tally. But he gave like this impassioned speech on a podcast last week about how good it was. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'm buying it. I'm buying it right now.
Oh, I didn't even hear the speech. All I saw, I heard it for 30 seconds, and he was like, "Man, this game is so great." And I was like, "All right, I'll buy it." So
you should listen to the speech. It was on our last episode of Gaming Perspective. It's worth listening to. But anyways, yeah, Chivalry 2. I never played the first one. I never played this because this has been on PC, right? Or no?
Chivalry 1 has been on PC for a long time.
Okay.
I remember my roommate from college was playing Chivalry 1. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's this hyper chaotic medieval simulator. And I said this to both you and Nick, Ivan, but you have to embrace the chaos of it. you can't take it too seriously. You can't get frustrated when you die because you're going to die a lot. But it is these massive siege battles, these massive 64-player battles. You know, you got 32 players on each team, and you're pushing siege towers up. You're operating catapults. You're flinging each other across the map. You're fighting with all these different weapons, and it's a lot of fun. It's so over the top. I absolutely love it. I played for several hours yesterday. It's really like you can have stuff where like you cut someone's head off, then you pick their head up and throw it and like bonk an enemy with it to try and throw them off balance. It's real, but then like you get one of your arms cut off, and when one of your arms gets cut off, you have this mode called "Tis but a Scratch" mode that activates so you can still fight for a very short period of time, and you're like trying to swing this big great sword, you know, hand and a half sword with just one hand. It's ridiculous. I absolutely love this game.
Is this on PC?
And PS4.
And
Everything.
PS4. And I don't want to misspeak, so I'm going to hold off, but I think it has crossplay.
It does have crossplay. I don't know if it's included with PlayStation. I know they have crossplay with PC.
All right, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it up right now.
Because I will say, like, some of the best gamer tags are on this game. It is so funny.
Okay, no, it's a crossplay on all platforms.
All right.
The developers. There you go. So, like, come on. What are you waiting for?
It's a blast.
To have money. That's what I'm waiting for.
Okay, all right. You know what? All right, that's fair.
Sure,
That's
fair
totally
enough.
fair.
And it is cheaper than the other games. So, like, at least for here, instead of being 60 or 70, it's 40. So it's definitely not like a big AAA game in terms of the price that they're charging for. But it's just a blast. It's fun. So.
While you're mentioning something like that, I want to give a shout out to the Sword and Sorcery series made by Inkle. I think they're originally done on PC. I think they're all available on Steam, but you can play them on phones, on Android, on the Play Store. And they're like text adventure classic RPGs that you would like read, the choose your own adventure books, all of that stuff. It is just so much fun, and if you're into, I know you guys love D&D, it's very much for that crowd that want to have a little fun adventure. And there's like 5 full games, and all of the decisions that you make carry through for the entire series. So if I think this sounds very much on the same kind of train, maybe not the RPG heavy elements. But yeah, A Sword and Sorcery by Inkle, like the secretly one of the best designed games in all of gaming.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Hell yeah.
Sounds good.
I do play video games, contrary to popular belief.
All right, so the question I'm going to ask, because I know that you two in particular are big on film. I have been going over the last week, roughly. I've been going over just film franchises I totally missed. Like, for me, I totally missed the Fast and Furious franchise. So I watched the first 2 movies over the weekend. I watched the first Rush Hour. Interesting thoughts on that. Hold off on that for now until I finish the series. So, fun.
I mean, respect to like going for the whole series, because like you don't have to.
Yeah, I know. I don't have to, but I was like, you know what? These are things that like everyone keeps talking about. Like, oh yeah, you should watch this, and I'm like, I've never seen it. So it's I don't know. I feel like for some people, it's kind of like some people have that nostalgic feeling for it, and I kind of go back. I will say with watching Rush Hour, I do see how like Jackie Chan definitely deserves more props than I was giving him. Because for me, like, the extent of my Jackie Chan knowledge is the animated TV show when I was a kid.
Great show. Great tie-in video game, actually, as well.
Yep. And after that, it was basically just Around the World in 80 Days. And I can't even think what else there was.
The thing about Jackie, I mean, what if you want to boil all of the stuff that he can possibly do down, just watch Drunken Master. I mean, all of his films are fantastic, but Drunken Master is like there's something really, really magical about it. He's got, if we're talking about Jackie Chan, he's got the world record for most credits on a film.
Wow.
I think it's something like 14. Like he was the director, the writer.
Oh.
Sorry?
Oh, on a single film?
on a single film, he had like something. I want to say something like 14 or 15 different credits. He was actor, writer, director, caterer, stunt director, all of that stuff.
Wow.
But I know that caterer is one of them. He was the caterer as well as like Jackie Chan. It's mental.
Right.
He's a legend.
Yep. And so, okay, so there's
the other thing about Rush Hour. The other thing about
Yep.
Rush Hour. I'll let you talk eventually.
Go ahead.
Is that like Chris Tucker has done no movies this century, like at all, apart from like the Rush Hour franchise and like 2 other films. It's so weird. Carry on.
Yeah, like what he did? He was in Fifth Element, right? Was that
In the 90s?
Oh shit, that was the 90s too.
It was like, that was like 94.
You thinking Fifth Element was like 2000, like just turn of the century a little bit, but no, yeah, it's the 90s.
No, it's 90s as hell, man.
Jeez. But yeah, no, so I've been watching those, but there was a film event that kind of started up over the last 3 weeks. Sam brought up on our last show about Fear Street on Netflix. So Sam, clue us in on what Fear Street is real quick, and I'll let you guys kind of go into that.
Yeah, so just to give a quick recap, if you miss what this is, it's a trilogy of films. Each one, they directly connect to each other, same cast, same crew, same story, all that sort of thing. Back to back, these films were filmed simultaneously. I believe before/during the pandemic, somewhere around that time. And it is a very, I emphasize the word very, loose interpretation of R.L. Stine's Fear Street books. R.L. Stine is much better known for the Goosebumps series, but he actually had some books that were aimed at older kids, like older teenagers, called the Fear Street novels. These are only very loosely drawing on that. A lot of the characters are different, the story's very different, and on top of that, it's just a lot more adult. It is a lot more classic slasher. Lots of guts, lots of nudity, lots of language, that sort of thing. And yeah, exactly, like what you come to a slasher for. And I emphasize this next part, but I do want to get James's input because I know James, you watched all of them, right?
I finished. I watched 1666 today. Yeah.
Okay, good. Just making sure. We're not going to spoil it, but I just wanted to make sure you had seen all 3 before you gave your opinion. And each one kind of emulates a different horror film. Like the first one is very clearly a homage to Scream. The second one, Friday the 13th. You get the drill. You get the gist here. And I got to tell you, speaking as someone who doesn't like a lot of slashers, I thought these films were a lot of fun. They're colorful, they're stylish, it has a fun energy, it's a really fun cast, a lot of names I didn't recognize, a couple I did, but a lot of names I didn't recognize, some fresh faces, fresh meat, quite literally, and it has a neat story, and it kept me engaged, and the pacing felt really good, and more than that, I appreciated this idea of, no, we're not going to stretch this out into a series, because this very easily could have been stretched out into a series. On the same budget, they could have stretched it out. They could have had a lot more suspense and a lot more cliffhangers, but they're like, no, we're going to drop 1 film a week. Here you go. Here's what we're doing. Here's the story we're telling it. And I just really liked it. I really think if you like slashers, definitely, but even if you're like into horror but not necessarily slashers, I would recommend giving these a go. I really, really enjoyed them. James, I want to get your thoughts.
I couldn't agree with you more, but I would be a bit more specific. I would say that if you're, because these films are very much aimed at a younger audience, despite them being, I know they're rated 18 over here, which is the highest thing that you can rate anything in the British classification. I don't know what the rating is in America. I would assume R, probably maybe.
It's TVMA, I believe, or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But yeah, I would specify that like if you're a younger person or someone who does not watch a lot of horror films, I would recommend these as like a great way to get into, because you mentioned yourself, you're a person who does not watch a lot of horror films, and you found these really easy to follow, because I think the reason for that is these films are so story heavy. Like if we compare it to Friday the 13th, the amount of story that happens in Friday the 13th, it's really not a lot. It's there, but it's not front and center. The thing front and center of Friday the 13th is the atmosphere and the murder and the boobs. It was the 80s. It was a different time.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, you could probably like 30 seconds of story.
100%.
Couple of minutes, yeah.
just the first film. I'm not talking about the franchise because that's a whole can of worms we're not getting into now. Jason takes Manhattan. Jason goes to hell.
Yeah.
Jason X, Jason X. Never forget. Mecha Jason, greatest moment of cinema history. I think that film was written by Joss Whedon. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, but yes, Fear Street it's really good fun, and like that's the key thing about it. It's fun, and yeah, it's gory, but it's gory in a fun way. Like it's not like in the same way that there's like gore in Hereditary or Midsummer, where like it's bloody,
right.
It's bloody and it's violent, but it's not there. The reason that it's there is to shock you and to make you feel uncomfortable. The reason that it's in this is because you're like, oh great, I get to see someone's head explode. And like the way that it's done is so obviously over the top. You don't see people in pain for like prolonged periods of time. They're not being tortured. They're just like, oh, this is a thing that I need to deal with, and that's the bad guy that I need to defeat. It's very simplistic. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I think these are like great. These are going to be like great gateway horror films to get people to watch like the good stuff. You know, people are going to watch the first one, and then hopefully the Netflix algorithm will say, you've watched this, maybe you should watch Scream. And then you can see where it all came from and all the different kinds of horror that feed into this. You mentioned the first one and the second one, 94, 78. I want to highlight 1666. For me, it's the best film of the three. It's not even close.
I can see it. I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Way more cohesive. But it's only the best with the caveat of having watched 1 and 2.
Of course.
You have to do the work to really enjoy the third one. Makes sense of any major trilogy. The one thing I do want to talk about is the needle drops. Now, when I say needle drops, I mean dropping a licensed song into a film. Happens all the time. You know, James Gunn, Quentin Tarantino, Edgar Wright, they make their living off of it, off of sending the soundtracks to their films. Oh my God, they never know when to stop in these movies. They just keep on doing it. It's like, it sort of devalues the point of having all of these songs. Like the first 30 seconds of the movie, you've got Closer by 9 Inch Nails happening. And it's not there because they want to make a reference to like the content of the song Closer, or even like using the lyrics as like word painting for things that are happening on screen. They're just going, hey, remember 1994? This was what was playing on the radio. And it just happens again and again. They play Creep by Radiohead, and they play, other stuff of that era, which is fine to a point. But when you have like a 20-second sequence where 4 different characters enter a building and all of them have different pieces of music accompanying them, in theory it works, but if you don't like continue those pieces of music as like those characters' themes, then you're just losing the point. The only time it does well in the films is in the second film.
Yes, I was going to bring that up actually. Yeah,
there's one song it does really well, and that's the man who sold the world. And the reason I say that is because it starts playing, and you think, oh great, Man Who Sold the World, David Bowie, but the Nirvana version starts playing, because you're in 1994, and then it flashes back. The song is still playing to 1978, and now David Bowie is singing it. So you have tied these two events together by this piece of music and this one character, and it's great. And now that piece of music is associated with the franchise, and it comes back later in the film as well. But the rest of the soundtrack of the 1978 one is just songs of the 70s. They play 2 different songs that are in the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. 2 of them. You can't do that, guys. That's not okay.
Well, I think it's funny because now people don't talk about this a lot, but like, Guardians of the Galaxy has such a major influence. Well, maybe not even major, maybe more like a strong, subtle undercurrent. Because now that like that, because I remember prior to the 2013 movie coming out, no one was talking about it. Like I never heard of most of these songs. But then after that, like, was it "Come Get Your Love"? There's a ton of these, like just a ton of stuff on that soundtrack
as well.
Yep, that one too. Like all of a sudden, everyone started using it again, and like I started hearing the songs on the radio. And I was like, okay, maybe this is on here at some point, but not to this level of frequency. Was it they started using the same song before in Efforts for Family? Most recently, they started using some of the songs in the Redfall trailer, or that they showed off with Arcane's game at E3.
Yeah,
and it's like they're everywhere now, and you can tell.
And fair play to James and his music supervisor. They've really put together an all-time classic movie soundtrack, and you can't use those songs lightly. Like, if you wanted to use Cherry Bomb by the Runaways, use a different Joan Jett song. You know, just use a different power pop ballad. Use Cheap Trick, I Want You to Want Me. Use anything. Just don't use stuff that is so synonymous with other scenes unless you deliberately try to move it away. You know, you're using The Man Who Sold the World. Anytime you use a David Bowie song, you risk incurring the wrath of David Bowie fans. But you used it really well. So fair play. But yeah, this is like a major nitpick to a thing that really doesn't matter that much. But it bothered me, and that's all I care about.
And
but the films themselves are really, really good fun. The third one is too dark, and I don't mean thematically. I mean literally, it's a bit too dark. The Scream.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nighttime scenes in the second one that aren't lit.
I watched this one when the sun had gone down with the lights off in my room, and it was still too dark on the screen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that used to be that used to be a problem with like when movies were just switching over to like supporting HDR for streaming. That used to be a problem because like what was it? I watched Ridiculous 6 again, and that's like one of the first movies that Netflix started pushing out in 4K HDR.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Ivan, did you say again?
Again. I watched it when it came out, and I was on an Adam Sandler kick. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go through Adam Sandler's stuff. Like, let me go see a low point of Adam Sandler's career. So I just got done watching Wedding Singer as well. So I was like, oh, we watch a low point, Ridiculous 6. And like pretty much any scene that's in the dark in that one, you can't even see it. It's so dark you can't see it. And I think it was when Netflix first started pushing for 4K HDR content, that's when that movie came out. And they just never bothered going to try to fix it. So, but yeah, like that's weird that they would still have that problem in 2021 for the third movie.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I will say, I don't know because it only came into UK cinemas like a week ago, just over a week ago. I don't know how long it's been there. Watch Freaky. Please go and see Freaky in a cinema. Oh my god, that film is the most fun I've had in a cinema all year. It's just it's the tits. It's so good.
All right, I will ask one question. This will make or break it. Does this film catapult Vince Vaughn back into the limelight again?
What do you mean back into the limelight? He's been solidly making one or two really good movies every year for the past like 5 or 6 years.
You know, I know. You and I know that. I'm talking about like, is this enough to be like, okay, his performance is good enough to get him back in the mainstream?
Potentially, but I don't. But that's only if the film does well.
Yeah.
But like the movie. Yeah, both him and Catherine Newton are fabulous in this movie as each other. They're better as the opposite than they are as the normal person.
Mm-hmm.
Which you should do in a Freaky Friday style movie.
Yeah.
Big fan of this, and I should say the soundtrack to Freaky is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of licensed music, but when they do, it's a banger.
All right. Oh, all right. Let's get into some of these.
Wait. One more thing about Freaky. There's out of nowhere there is a part. Have you guys seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the guy who plays Cam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in this film as like a dickhead woodshop teacher.
Okay.
And it's so odd. It's just like you own a Ferrari. I couldn't get it past that point. It was so weird. But yeah, there you
go. Okay. All right, let's get into some of these gaming topics. We got a lot of little things to cover. This is kind of how it rolls sometimes, but let's go ahead and get started. Let's get the boring thing out of the way. So Xbox One NPDs for the month of June. Surprise, surprise.
Okay, so there is an asterisk mark on there. in dollar sales. The Nintendo Switch is still selling more units, which is actually, I believe, 31 months straight, to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of months ago, the PS5, I think like the first month or the second month on the market, the PS5 won in dollar sales, and now Xbox is won in dollar sales, but the Switch is continuing to win in unit sales. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is that including Switch Lite as well?
Yes, it's all Switches.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. So, again, surprise, surprise. I don't think anyone should be surprised by this news. Xbox had a very strong E3 showing, and I think we said the last time on the show when we were talking about when you see a bunch of people buy stuff, it's anecdotal evidence, but you don't know anything in terms of being a long-term trend. But I know a lot of us noticed that a lot of PlayStation guys were picking up picking up Xboxes all of a sudden, right around E3 time. So again, that's not. At first, it was anecdotal, but I guess there is some credence to it. It's they're picking up something here. So,
I mean, I'm still considering it. I'm still on the fence.
Yep. So, hey, there's some cool stuff going on. So, hey, Game Pass is pulling out something to do here. Second, I don't know why my computer wants to choose to restart. Minute. Sorry
we
about
can
that.
still hear you.
Oh, no,
We can still hear you.
Oh no, it just gave me a notification like, "Hey, it's time to restart." No, it is not. It is not time to restart. So,
Master of my domain.
So next was it was mostly a bunch of little things today. I want to bring up this too. So to me, this is probably the biggest news that happened today. So yesterday, first, a little prefacing work. Ubisoft started putting out some random footage of an upcoming game that will be coming out sometime. And Tom Clancy, the Twitter accounts had mentioned, "Oh yeah, the future of Tom Clancy stuff is coming out something tomorrow." So surprise, surprise, they're also linked. It is a free-to-play first-person shooter game, arena style, that is going to be called Tom Clancy XDefiant.
Defiant, not deviant.
Defiant, whatever. Deviant, Defiant. Deviant, Defiant, whatever. I don't know who cares what they're called. So, but yeah,
Love that website, Defiant Art.
that might be why I couldn't find anything. So I was trying to look for pictures of it. I was like XDeviant, and I kept getting Deviant Art. I was like, oh, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, they showed it off, and before I even say anything about it, I'm interested in what you guys thought. First of all, James, did you get a chance to look at this at all?
Nope, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Okay, well, look it up on Twitter. I'll post it in our chat.
You're telling me Ubisoft are using their large platform and established framework to put together a full service game using one of their IPs? No, surely not.
So
whatever will they think of next?
Yeah.
But seriously though, why isn't there an Assassin's Creed full service game?
Man, it could be any number of reasons. I mean, obviously money is one.
If they made
Go ahead, James.
all the time on a service, yeah.
Yeah, he said if they made it cut out.
I was giving good ideas again.
Yep, he said if they made, they cut out.
If they made an Assassin's Creed style service game, but it was like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, where everyone's just role playing the entire time, I'd buy the hell out of that. And
well, I mean, you heard the new report, right, dude, about Assassin's Creed Infinity?
Yeah, apparently this is happening.
Yeah, so
if it's true, I'm going to become a streamer, and literally that is all I will do.
Right,
fair enough.
Did you guys finish Valhalla at all?
That is a promise of money.
Yeah, I love Valhalla. I've been quietly singing the praises of Valhalla for a while now.
Yeah, I know, but I was like, did you finish it?
No, not like the expansion content, but the story, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't had the chance to play properly because I bought it on the cheap, thinking that I would get a PS5 by this point. So I literally just haven't. I've played like the opening mission, or nothing really.
I will
Because
say
I want to play it, but I want to play it on a proper console.
sure. That's actually pretty fair, honestly. I will say it sets the modern day up for the most interesting development since 3.
That's fair.
And that's what I've been asking for the longest time. Yeah, 3 was the death of Desmond.
Yeah.
So yeah, they finally did something.
Everyone hates the modern day segments. They were good.
Oh no, I like the modern day segments. Like that was my whole thing. I thought
like
the modern day
better
segments
than-
actually gave purpose to what you were doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I liked it.
I mean, the game doesn't exist if you don't have the modern day bits.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't want to derail us too hard here because we do have other stuff to talk about, but I'll just say very quickly, I liked the modern day stuff like Assassin's Creed 3 and before that because it had purpose. It had direction to it. I think people quite fairly, including myself, haven't liked the modern day segments until what Ivan is talking about just now, because it's kind of felt aimless. It's been we're passing the baton forward. Oh, there's mysterious stuff. We're not going to tell you literally anything about it. Like, I don't know. I think that's a fair assessment.
Oh, like for me, personally. It was like the concept of Juno, the character, the AI they introduce in they introduce her in 3, and then they kind of set her up as like a big bad villain to come. They set her up and they do all this work, and then she gets killed off in a comic, and we're like, what? When did this happen? I missed this. And so I've just been waiting for all this setup for nothing. Yeah, they killed her off. She's dead.
What?
Yeah, she's been dead for, I want to say, is this 2016?
And not in one of the games, to be clear. This was in like a comic book spinoff.
A webcomic thing.
Webcomic spinoff, thank you. Yeah, it's just it was ridiculous. So
it was like, what are we even doing at this point?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the thing. And look, I love Black Flag. Black Flag is awesome. Black Flag is in the top 5, no contest objectively, but the modern day has not been good since Assassin's Creed 3. Until, again, what you're talking about here, Ivan, this Valhalla is the first time I've cared about the modern day stuff in a long time. I agree with you there. I think they could still very easily drop the ball, but we'll see.
But like, I'm genuine.
People would like the modern day stuff in Black Flag more if but for the fact that playing Black Flag as a pirate is way more fun.
Yeah,
I mean, fair.
I will say, like, in playing as Ivor is also a lot of fun too. I really enjoy playing as them, but I
agreed.
I will say the ending sets up the most interesting development where I've actually genuinely been excited for the next Assassin's Creed. And I'm like, please, dear God, do it. Like, and what I'm hoping it is, I hope it's not Infinity for this next one. I want it to be like a go back to Jerusalem thing, where you're not playing as Altair, or you could be playing as Altair. I don't really care. Just go back to that section and play as yourself or whatever. I don't know. You could do a lot of different things with it. I'm really excited. I want to see this happen. So
yeah.
But anyway, so going back from Assassin's Creed, because we got off topic there for a minute. So XDefiant, this is something that I don't know if you guys noticed. So they put Tom Clancy in front of it, and this is not based off of any of Tom Clancy's books at all. Except for the fact that the way it's going to be, at least for XDefiant, is that they are going to be doing factions. It's not a hero shooter. At least not explicitly.
I don't remember the bit in any destroy the house. I don't remember the bit in any Tom Clancy book where they like destroy the house periodically to kill 6 people.
Well, I mean, Rainbow Six, it's based off of that. Like, there are characters in there. Like, it's at least based off of something. XDefiant is literally just, hey, we have different factions from different Tom Clancy books that make no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I wish Ubisoft San Francisco well on this, and if it has crossplay, I'll check it out because I'm desperate for crossplay shooters, but I'm very much not interested. I'll say that. I'm very much not interested.
It looks like Call of Duty. I'll say that. It looks like Call of Duty, and I could see if worst comes to worst, if Call of Duty does not drop this year and they could somehow get this game out this year, they might stand a chance. Maybe.
The issue is that they were very blunt that the game is actually very early in development. They're just being transparent that like they want people alpha testing it now. Like this game has late 2022 written all over it to me.
Sure. Like so that's why the only time like it's a terrible situation for them because it would have been a golden opportunity for them to drop this year if Call of Duty is not in the picture this year. It would be a golden opportunity for them, and they're gonna miss it. So,
it'll be interesting to watch how.
Oh, and Splinter Cell people are probably gonna be pissed once they figure it out. One of the factions is Echelon.
Yep.
You can see the little night vision goggles stuff.
Is that Fisher's stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
Continuing the long-standing Ubisoft tradition of putting Sam Fisher in everything except his own game.
You know what this is? I figured this out. You know that great running joke in the Monsters Inc. films where Mike is always obscured by like a logo or something?
Yes.
That is Splinter Cell with Ubisoft.
100%. 100%.
He's there. He is. He's there. You can't say he's not there.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right.
Would it be so hard to let the license out to let another studio make the game? Would it be so hard?
Evidently. Man, evidently.
I mean, hell, I'll do it. Red Storm's down the street from me. Let's get to work. Give me the license. I'll go to work.
Splinter Cell game. A pen and paper Splinter Cell game. That'd be great. Actually, it's just Blades in the Dark. That's what it is. It's just modern Blades in the Dark.
Yeah, so not much else to say about XDefiant. Just that it exists right now. So have fun. All right. So just a minute. Back up here. Yep. All right. So next on our little agenda this evening, so we have. I'm sorry, we have a list of things. I'll go ahead and knock this out now then while we're talking about it. So, Psychonauts 2. I figure some backstory might make a little more sense, because I think a lot of people don't understand why things are the way they are, and I think we should give a little bit of backstory to that. So, Tim Schafer owns Double Fine and is the lead and kind of just the main go-to guy for Double Fine. Double Fine's been around for 20 years. What was it? What was the last game before this that they made? It was
Broken Age?
Broken Age, yeah. And there's something else. I don't remember. But there was something else before Broken Age, but I can't remember what it was. But Broken Age came out, had Elijah Wood, some celebrity voice talents. I don't think it did great. I don't recall it ever shaking any sales, but I know it cost them a good chunk of money to do it. Since then, they've been partnered with PlayStation for a good long while. Like, they remastered Grim Fandango, Full Throttle, a couple other games on PlayStation exclusively for a while. And then, they showed off Psychonauts 2 at PlayStation's stage. Now, big caveat to this. So, there had been a Kickstarter for it. Well, not even really a Kickstarter, but Tim Schafer actually launched a funding website called Fig. He's one of the stakeholders in that. And Fig is a little different than Patreon or Kickstarter or any of the other funding sites. So the way Fig works is that you invest in a product and you are technically a part owner of that product. The way it works is if I put in $100 or something like that, I own a share of said product. After that product becomes profitable and starts making money, at that point, I'm entitled to certain cuts of the revenue. So what will happen is, let's say I own, I'm being extremely generous here. Let's say I own like 1% of the company or something like that. So for every dollar that is sold, every dollar of profit, I make 1 penny back on that investment. That's only after it becomes profitable when everybody gets paid. So there is a financial responsibility for Double Fine for for Psychonauts 2. I want to say they showed it off in 2016. I want to say maybe 2017.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So they showed that off, and it got good reception. But then a couple years ago, Microsoft bought Double Fine, and there was a bit of confusion about what was going to happen with this game. So they could not make the game fully exclusive due to legal contracts. The promise was it was definitely coming to PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox. So it had to come to Xbox One, and it had to come to PlayStation 4. So what's going on right now is we're starting to see the specs come out for these particular systems. And I'm gonna kind of go over briefly what they are listed as. So in last gen consoles, Xbox One and PS4, both going at 1080p 30, no HDR, no variable rate resolution. So then the next gen versions of it, the Xbox One X is going to run at 4K and 30 FPS, no HDR. Then PS4 Pro is going to come out, and it's going to be at 1440p, and it's going to be 30 FPS. Now, next gen versions of everything's get interesting. So the Xbox Series S and X are both going to be running at either 60 or 120 frames per second. They both have HDR. They both have VRR. But they're also going to have the Series S comes out at like 1620 resolution.
Yeah, it's some weird, not quite 4K, but very high resolution.
Like above 1440, but not 4K. Just weird resolution choice. And the Series X is going to be at 4K. So that's good. That's some next gen support. But the PS5 version is going to be running at 1440p, 60 FPS, no HDR, and they made a big note of saying it's just the PS4 version running through backwards compatibility. And the part that's even more confusing to me is that on Windows, there's no HDR support whatsoever. So I'm kind of like, so for people who don't understand what we were talking about here, like why this even matters. So with the last gen version specifically, PS4 had HDR support. The Xbox One did not have HDR support until the Xbox One S. But PS4 has HDR, and they are choosing not to include HDR in the PS4 version.
Can I interject here? Because there's actually a simple explanation. I've seen people getting heated over this. Those asterisk marks are important because it doesn't actually have HDR on the series versions either. It's just the auto HDR.
Yep. None
of them have true HDR modes. It's just that the series consoles can apply auto HDR to any game that doesn't have HDR. So that's what's going on there. They didn't include Double Fine specifically. The developers did not include HDR on any platform.
So why would they choose not to include HDR at all?
Because honestly, because this game has been in development for so long, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't author the assets for it, if they didn't design the game around it, and it was just like, to do that would have required yet another delay when the game has already been pushed around for a long time now at this point. I think that's, like, it's definitely a bit of an odd choice, but I think there is a reasonable explanation considering how long this game's been pushed around. And I'm seeing people like saying, oh, like they explicitly excluded HDR from the PC port and the PlayStation 4 versions. Like, that's not the case. They didn't include HDR on anything. It's just that auto HDR can kick in.
All right, fair enough. So yeah, a lot of people are also pointing out, like, why is there no PS5 version? So this is what I kind of wanted to address specifically with this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but the HDR thing was just kind of an interesting quirk of like, why?
Sure.
That's just a random little bit. But no, with the PS5 version in particular, guys, there was just a legal obligation here. They could have made it exclusive, they would have done it, but they couldn't. Like they because they went through FIG and had that legal requirement to actually have a PS4 version, they're only going to make the PS4 version. they're doing the literal bare minimum for anybody else. So I do not be surprised.
It's like PlayStation with Deathloop, right? They signed a deal, and it's going to be the last one. Then the rest of them are going to be all exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, it's that similar vein. Yeah, like a legal agreement, you have to see legal agreements through. Period. Yep. You will get in trouble if you don't.
Yep.
Why did we just have to say that?
Because people are not smart.
And people don't pay attention more than the last 2 months.
You know, contracts, you do them. Like,
yep. Or like, this
people are going like, why is this happening? Why are they doing what they say in the contract?
Yep.
Oh God. Oh man. This is why like book readers make fun of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like this could be so easy. Everything we do could be so easy. But no, you wanted to make fun of other people because you need to feel smart. Oh, I hate gamers so much.
Yeah, man. It's really, really dumb. It's like contracts are definitely a thing. Like that's why I find it so funny when people will actually write whole news articles based on what some guy on Reddit said. Like I remember one I read. It was like, "Hey, I'm a game tester for Sony, and I heard that Sony's buying Square." And it's like, what? Like, it's like even if you did know that, you would have signed an NDA. And you're just breaking that just arbitrarily.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why I just find that so silly. I just, all these people just dropping stuff.
And like, in the same vein of that, there are people going, there's a reason why, like, really, really major things don't get leaked by journalists from, like, movies and video games, is because if we did that, like, there's, like, we've all signed NDAs in the past, I assume, yeah?
Yep, I have.
Yeah, like if we very much could sign that NDA and then come on this show and just be like, guys, have I got a story for you? And we would be perfectly, we would not be in our rights if we did that, because not only would we be breaking copyright and contract, and we could be, legitimately sued for that, we also would never be invited to any other preview event ever again because we're the guys that broke fucking contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. You burn that bridge, they will never trust you.
Yeah. Oh, Disney paid us to say this. No, they paid us to talk about it. They didn't pay us what to say.
Yeah.
Very different thing, mate.
Yeah.
And they paid us with time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like I see people going like, well, they could have pushed a PS5 version further. And it's like, yeah, if they had done a native PS5 version, they could have, but. The hard truth is they weren't obligated to make one, so they didn't make one. I mean, I'm not going to mince words. It's not that complicated, y'all. It is what it is.
Yep. So yeah, it's really not a super surprise thing. But I just kind of want to bring that up just for a moment, just kind of get people to understand what's going on here.
Sure.
What else do we have lined up here? We had a couple things. But tonight's show is mostly just a bunch of little things we're kind of going over.
Yeah. Oh, the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck was announced.
Yep, Steam Deck got announced. So, in terms of pricing, if I recall, like the cheapest one's going to be like $400 roughly.
Yeah, there is a $400 model with a 64 gigabyte internal card. There's a 500 and something, like a 540, 550 model. Yeah. Yeah, something like that comes with a 256 gigabyte SSD, and then there's a $625 model that comes with a 512 gigabyte SSD.
Yeah. So hey, looks cool to me. My understanding is it runs PC games, medium to high settings roughly. So
yeah, it's actually got some impressive hardware in there. It's pretty decent. It's got like 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's roughly equivalent to like a PS4 in terms of graphics processing power, but that's specifically the GPU, which it's a small 800p screen, so you don't need a giant GPU to power that kind of screen. That makes perfect sense. And it's got like the CPU is half of the PS5 CPU. Is the way it's been explained to me, like half or almost half of that. So like that's a decent CPU. Like for a handheld, that's a decent amount of power. I'm not going to get one personally because I'm a little wary of Valve and, you know, their past hardware and how they've done things. But I'm definitely curious, and I hope it succeeds.
They made hardware?
They
The
have.
Steam machines, remember?
I thought those were all just rumors.
Those were
No,
real.
those happened. They happened.
That was like,
Oh,
what,
really?
2012, 2013?
2013, 2014, something like that. Like, dude, yeah, those things happened. They
That
came
was
and
like
went.
just before I started working in journalism.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Totally fair.
Oh, it was fine. The Ouya totally eclipsed it. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Hashtag Ouya gang.
Yeah. Amazing. Guys, do you want to play Cowball and Amazing Frog?
Exactly.
No,
but
so-
like seriously,
yeah.
I do want this thing to be a success because the idea of being able to play like your PC games like Baldur's Gate 3 or Total War or something at medium settings on the go, that is a legitimately cool idea. I really want it to work out.
The only thing I would ever get it for would be, because I just don't play PC games, would be Football Manager, and that just seems like a waste.
Yeah, that's okay. You probably want something more than that.
Yeah. My thing is, I want to actually hold it in my hands first, because my whole thing is I got big monster hands, so I gotta hold things and feel build quality before I even buy anything. So, like literally the whole reason why I didn't buy a PS3 was because I could break the controller. I've broken 4 PS3 controllers at this point.
Wow.
I can't do it. It wasn't so much that it was smaller, it was mostly just because it wasn't a tougher build quality. Like the DualShock 4 was great. The DualShock 5 is even better.
Are you Lenny from the book? The book.
Mice and Men?
That's the one.
Yeah, no. But it's more just like, especially during that phase, I had very hard control when the PS3 was out, in terms of strength control. Because I was in the right awkward teenage years, and I would play Call of Duty and get really mad. I never threw a controller, but I would squeeze, tight, and twist. So, yeah, PS3 fun. I bought a lot of PS3 controllers to replace. So.
Ivan, the master of the squeeze, tight, and twist.
No, but you know, like the Xbox controllers, I never had that problem with.
That's going on your Tinder profile.
Jeez. But no, like it's just that's my thing is the build quality. I gotta feel it in my hands, and I want to feel it. I want to feel the triggers specifically, and if it was gonna be actually decent or not for shooters or anything like that. But yeah, I just gotta see it and hold it, and then I'll make my decision at that point. But anyway, other than that, we had some other stuff that happened.
We did?
Did you guys talk about the Switch? The Switch while I wasn't here?
Nope, didn't talk about the Switch.
Yeah, there's a new Switch.
Oh yeah, the OLED.
There's a new-ish Switch.
Yeah, it's new by a certain definition of the word new. Yes.
It's not. It's new because it's not the old one.
Exactly.
That's about it, really.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a bigger screen. It has a different resolution.
No. Actually, the screen is very slightly bigger. Very slightly. It's 7 inches as opposed to like 6.4. And it has thinner bezels, which the thinner bezels is legitimately nice. It's an OLED screen, so OLED screens obviously make colors pop a lot more, which is neat. But essentially, it's just a revision. It's just a revision of the Switch.
The only thing that I've seen from this that looks genuinely great is the stand. The stand looks fabulous.
The kickstand is vastly improved. Yes.
10 out of 10 stand. Top 10 stands in gaming, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Stan Lee's cameo in probably a Marvel game, and then the kickstand.
Yeah. But no, I think the ballsier thing that they're doing right now is deciding to charge $50 more for it, not decrease the price of the Switch or anything. Just charge $50 more. I think that is the ballsiest move they could have done.
I think they're just trying to get people who are like buying a new one, and then they see, oh, this is the new Switch, and then they'll buy that as not realizing that it's just slightly different. Not even better, just different.
Yeah.
I hope you like LAN support.
It's gonna
What?
be weird. What else is good? Oh yeah, the other thing that happened like last night today, Tencent. So Tencent has announced that they are going to be purchasing Sumo Digital. For those of you who don't remember Sumo Digital, this guy is behind such genius games like Little Big Planet and Crackdown 3.
And Snake Pass, right?
No, Snake Pass. No.
Yep.
No.
There we go.
Game of the Year 2016 ruined.
Real talk, like I don't want to dredge up the whole Tencent thing too much here. What I will say is they are allowing them to continue doing contract work. And that is important because Sumo Digital is very quietly a giant backbone of AAA gaming. They do support work for tons of teams and tons of games.
Yep.
Like if there's a big game you like, there's a good chance Sumo Digital helped a bit on it. So
I was going through some of their catalog. Like they worked on a ton of stuff. Remember ones that stuck out to me was Mafia 3. I remember seeing like, oh wow, Mafia 3, you guys worked on that? Because I think it's not just that one team. There's a ton of little teams like Red Kite and stuff under them.
Oh yeah, the Chinese room, I believe, as well. Yep. Yeah, like they did the 360 version of Forza Horizon 2. They did very recently Sackboy: A Big Adventure with PlayStation. Like they've done a lot of stuff. So,
yep. So fun times. Interesting choice. I mean, it's more of a. I think for Tencent, their strategy is cast the widest net possible with the most strategic buys possible. So eventually, you're going to have to do business with them at some point.
Exactly. It's an easy win in terms of making money because of how vital Sumo Digital is. It makes a lot of business sense for it. But the thing is, Sumo Digital would not make sense for someone to invest in if they aren't keeping the multi-plat. That is It's a very rare example of something like that. Like it would not have made sense for Microsoft or Sony to invest in them.
It was like with the Nixus investment from Sony. It was like they bought Nixus because Tencent was also sniffing around, and let's just confirm that because Nixus excels at selling or porting games to PC. That is their bread and butter. And if Tencent were to buy Nixus, there's a high chance someone would have done business with them, and Sumo is the other choice for that. So it's an interesting little fit there. So yeah. That's kind of
the biggest news in all of technology. Twitter's getting rid of fleets.
Yep, fleets are done.
They were fleeting.
I will say I didn't care. Well, I didn't really have a problem with them. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with fleets until people were putting like 50 or 60 fleets a day. And I was like, come on. It was like you can't have this many. Like maybe like 5. Like 5 a day if you put a limit, because it's like for me, I'm one of those obsessive types. If I have a notification, I have to open it now. And if I see it, I have to open it, and it will annoy the crap out of me if I don't open it. And so every time I log into Twitter, I see the little thing at the top, and it's like, oh look, all these people you have to see fleets from. Even though I do not care what they're fleeting, I don't care. I see it anyway, and I'm like, all right, I gotta click on it. And then I have like one guy who all he does is post his own tweets as fleets, and he does that 50 times a day. Every tweet he makes is a fleet. And I'm like, dude, stop. Like, we didn't care about your tweet then, we don't care about your tweet now. And it's like, okay, stop. Like, it's so annoying, and like I'm glad they're getting rid of it for that reason alone.
That is so basically, are you telling me, Ivan, that you are happy they're getting rid of a big technical feature because of the way one human being uses it?
2 human beings. That's it.
2 human beings. Okay, all right.
They're 2 human beings who did it a lot and annoyed the crap out of me. So I'm like,
fair enough.
good.
I can't hate.
The wars have been fought over less.
I mean, hey, what was it? The Trojan War was fought over the perceived god's affections over a human being. There you go. So,
yep.
So, hey, we can't have a good old fashioned war over the getting rid of fleets over 2 people. I'm in. All right.
Man.
Anything else you want to talk about? Because we went through our whole list.
Just a reminder, like, the current plan is we're going to talk about Loki next week as a spoiler cast. Just full thoughts, how it affects the MCU, that sort of thing. I have not been able to see Black Widow yet. I'm going to try because I feel like one of us on this panel needs to see it. So
yeah.
I have.
Yeah. Well, James saw it, so you don't have to see it.
I've seen it.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
In response, does Loki have anything to do with Black Widow? No.
No, I wasn't wondering. It was just while I was on the topic of the MCU. That's all.
Fair enough. I want to quickly recommend something. I'm not going to do a full review. But there is a very, very famous band in Japan called XDefiant. They are a metal band, speed metal, and also like very great symphonic rock ballads. Very, very big in the 80s and the 90s before they split up, and one of their members died. A few years ago, a documentary came out about them called We Are X, and I watched it a few weeks ago, and it's fabulous. It's genuinely brilliant. It's from the same creative team who did the documentaries behind Ayrton Senna, the racing driver, and Amy Winehouse. It's not the same director, but it's the same team and producers. And Searching for Sugar Man, the one of the best music documentaries that there is. So I don't know if it's available on the streaming services in the US. I was sent the DVD by a friend of mine. But yeah, if you get the chance and it's available, watch the film We Are X. Like, it's just really, really interesting and good. That's it.
All right. Cool. All right, so let's go over where everybody can find each other. Sam, where can good people find you, sir?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's TOLBERT. And you can find everything I'm writing over on Windows Central and its sister sites.
All right. And where can we find you, sir, James?
You can get me on the tweets at James_S Wilson. And every Friday at 7 p.m. British Standard Time, you can listen to Culture Corner on Radio Harrow.
All right, and you can find me, Anchorman V2, on Xbox, PlayStation, everything else, Anchorman V2. Find me on Twitter at Multiverse Show. If you guys didn't know, we actually launched another show. I'm doing a partnership with Multiverse alumni, Mr. Nicholas Downey, called Cheat Code Radio. We do that on, well, technically we record on Thursdays, but we release on Friday mornings at your leisure. We're just doing that for fun. Check it out during the summer when you get a chance. So, thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you guys have a great night. This has been the Multiverse Show, greatest show on Mondays, and we are out.